The former prime minister was brought into the hospital at 12:20 p.m. The situation we were dealing with was a cardiopulmonary arrest. We tried to resuscitate, but he was pronounced dead at 5:03 p.m. He suffered 2 traumas, one to the heart and one to the arteries.
Right, we're now joined by Dr. Nancy Snow in the Fingers Lakes region in upstate New York. She's a visiting faculty member at Tsinghua University and also a former professor of public diplomacy at the Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. Welcome to you. It's such a sad day, but if I could get your reaction to this very tragic news.
It really is still such a deep shock, and I found out about his declaration of being declared dead at live on the air doing another interview, and we were expecting it, unfortunately, because he was in grave condition and critical condition, and they were doing everything, those doctors, to save the former prime minister. His legacy will be studying for years. It's hard to really frame his importance to Japan and the world at this moment when we're in mourning and shock. And the circumstances of this taking place at a moment right before an election, as Prime Minister Kishida said, even if you have a disagreement with a politician, you air your grievance nonviolently. And this didn't have to happen this way, and it will have reverberating consequences in the Japanese population, because it's a peaceful country, it is relatively gun-free, and this was an outrageous act that is shocking the world.
Indeed, and you know Japan very well. How do you think people will be reacting to this news?
Oh, I think they're probably feeling numb. I am currently outside of Japan. I can't imagine how I would feel being there. It hurts deeply, but it still hasn't resonated. I found out about this 6 hours ago and have been up all night talking to reporters around the world as we awaited the very grim news. He was only 67.
What do you think how do you think he will be reacting right now to the loss of the former prime minister?
Well, again, it's an overused term. It's devastating because Abe really gave Japan a roadmap for the 21st century. You're talking about a prime minister who was in office as far back as 2006. And he had to resign for health reasons in about a year's time. But he came back in 2012, and he then served the longest term as prime minister. And he was continuing as the former prime minister, engaging, talking to heads of state. He was active very recently at the Quad Summit in Tokyo at the end of May. He was talking to international journalists. I saw interviews with him on the air. I feel this very, very close to my heart because all day I was writing a paper about Japan strengthening its communications to the world, its public diplomacy to the world, and I was giving credit to Shinzo Abe, and I thought, I wonder if I could ever sit down with him and just talk about what inspired him to really go global. Mm-hmm. So this will take a very long time to pull all these pieces together about what he meant to Japan. Mm-hmm. And I was often a critic of Abe policies, but as a person, as a statesman, really as a world leader, it's a terrible loss. And the manner of the loss is what is so shaking to the soul. And Japan has a very deep soul, and I feel for the Japanese people. I feel it very deeply now.
And Dr. Snow, as you're speaking, we see so many tributes pouring in now from world leaders right now. And you mentioned that if you had the chance to have sat down with Shinzo Abe, you would have asked him, you know, what it took to make Japan go global. What do you think he would have said to you? Because the reactions we're getting here are very warm reactions, also, of course, of people being so shocked and saddened by his death.
Well, I'm thinking of great people around him. I'm thinking of my friend Tomohiko Taniguchi, his speechwriter, a very close advisor to Prime Minister Abe. Also, my friend Noriyuki Shikata, who is now working for the Kishida administration. He was the head of the Office of Global Communications during that period of Abe's tenure. And I also think about Abe's father, Shintaro. I will be an Abe Fellow forever, thanks to his father, who left part of his inheritance to the Japan Foundation to fund collaborative research for scholars and journalists. And that had a nearly 30-year legacy. So that spirit will go on amongst all of us. So there's just a lot more to say, even womenomics, raising that profile about gender inequality. Japan has a long way to go on that, but we have to give credit to the foundation that Abe laid, that he put in place. And we will forever be talking about him and what he gave Japan as a public servant.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nancy Snow, for speaking to us today on the death of Shinzo Abe, as you said.